Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 5, Episode 20. It is called Cost of Living. So full spoilers for the episode as always. And we knew going into this that it was a Mama Troy, Luxwana Troy, and her befriending Alexander, Worf's son, and all the expectations that come with such a premise, which is possibly some comedy gold, but probably won't be one of the standout episodes that we'll be talking about in many years' time. And I think it was a mixed bag of comedy gold and some stuff that just wasn't entertaining at all.
I think I'm even more damning than that. I think there are one or two moments of comedy gold.
I think there's a solid 5 minutes at the start. There's a solid 5 or so minutes where I was laughing at quite a few things. I thought they did a nice job transitioning between a few scenes. Gave me a chuckle.
I'd say amusing, but I wouldn't. I mean, even compared to other, Mama Troy episodes.
I think what the main thing I want to say before we even get to the main plot is this might be the most of an afterthought the B plot has ever felt to me in an episode of Next Gen.
I agree. I would go as far as to say, so the reason I really don't like this episode is it feels like there's 3 plots rather than 2 for a start. There's the Enterprise plot. You've got, I'd say, Luxwana Troy, which is mostly there's the stuff with Alexander and also the stuff with her marriage.
Yeah.
But then there's also, I would say, the Worf side of it, like the Worf and his... and Alexander, I think that's like there's almost enough for them to be 2 separate plots, and none of them have enough time to be anything. I
mean, I would split hairs a little bit there just to say that at least they all like intermingle as plots, so they feel connected. Whereas one of the things that stuck out to me about the B plot, and by the B plot I mean the Enterprise plot, where the ship's in danger because there's basically they blow up a dangerous thing at the start of the episode, and some magic glitter comes from it onto the ship, and it starts eating through various systems. It's not brought up for a long time in the episode, and then once it is, there's like by the time they actually sort of tell us there's a real threat happening, I checked the time, there was only like 6 minutes left of the episode by the time they actually get to that point. But the thing that really bugged me about how tacked on this plot felt is that at no point, at least unless I'm forgetting a quick moment, I don't think it ever cuts to the main characters from the A plots to show like how this is affecting them, because that's typically what you do. Even if the plots are very separate, when the crisis happens on the ship, and let's say parts of the ship are like being suffocated, or there's problems with life support or whatever, you would see how that might affect the characters in the other plot. Maybe it'll propel them to confess something that we're holding in all episode, or maybe it'll show them in a new light or something, whatever it may be. But that's typically what they do, is you'll have 2 plots that are pretty separate, but then when the ship's in danger and everyone's in crisis mode, it will bleed into that naturally, just because, well, of course they're going to notice something's going on. But when it cuts back to that plot, which is basically time for the wedding at that point at the end of the episode, it's like nothing happened.
It doesn't show them at all. Like, you have all the bridge crew, or I mean the bridge crew, because obviously, like, Worf and Deanna are separate, but the people on the bridge are passed out, suffocating. Data's like, hey, you got to do this on your own.
Picard and Riker are passed out and leading to death, and it's Data on his own who saves the entire ship.
I think Worf is on the bridge at that point, because I think when they wake up, he gives Worf an order, and Worf stood behind him, I think.
Oh, maybe, yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think he says anything, or does anything really in the scene. And do you know what this feels like? And I know it's logistically it's not, but it feels like this Enterprise plot was from an entirely other episode that they scrapped, and they had this footage lying around, and they're like, well, we can do something with it. And they just like, that'll do, stick it on with this one. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, the only thing that discounts that, I mean, admittedly, that said, if they have this footage first, then the one moment of, like, I think it's like Luxwana Troy like complains that the replicator's messed up her food or whatever at one scene. Like, you could easily write that in because you're tacking it onto that footage, I suppose. So yeah, theoretically you could have done that. I mean, I don't necessarily think it was. That may just be.
I don't think it was either. I think that would be a wasteful way for them to have made TV. Once they've got the script done, they've filmed it all, and then we're not going to do anything with this episode. That would be unusual. outside of pilots, obviously.
But I mean, it's entirely possible that this subplot was written for another script, and then like things got moved around, so it just doesn't really click with the rest of the episode in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So that because I'll be honest, like, see, once it got going properly in the last 5 minutes of the episode, like, I was like, there's some sludge coming out of various like compartments of like technical things that are going wrong, and I'm sure there's some gobbledygook to explain it, but at that point I just wasn't even paying attention. Like, I didn't care.
I think it's just a bad episode. I really do.
I mean, I'm not going to fight you on that. I will say I got some more comedy out of the other plot, but I won't fight you on it.
I mean, I'd say that the other plot's better by.
Well, it's the comedy. So, like, honestly, one of the most genius things the writers of this show have ever done is have Troy, who's doing a counselling session with Worf, or Mr. Wolf, as Sluxman is going to call him.
Mr. Wolf.
Was it Wolf?
Wolf. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Wolf.
No, it's Wolf.
Which I thought sounded at least cool. It was wrong.
No,
but...
this is like a small dog's bark.
I'm familiar with what the word woof is, yes.
Yes. Just clarifying, because clearly you heard it wrong in the episode. So.
But yeah, so she basically gives this speech to young Alexander, who's really mad at Worf, and they're having trouble getting on. And she gives this speech about how, when you're older, you'll respect and understand why your father gave you rules and why he tried to give you structure. And most people grow up to, respect what their parents did for them. And he leaves the room. She sits back in her chair, and then the call comes in. Councillor Troy, your mother's aboard. And then the look in her face is honestly, this is good comedy. Like, her reaction to that right after she gave this speech, if anything, they went too far with her saying a line about it where she says something like, oh, well, on the other hand, I'm like, I didn't need that.
Yeah.
The look in her face was enough. It made it hilarious. So I'm all for it, right? Other moment of comedy, Picard's pissed that Luxwana wants to have her wedding on the Enterprise, until Riker mentions that she requested that Picard give her away, and Picard immediately goes, "It's approved! I would like nothing more than to give that woman away to someone else."
Yeah, not my problem anymore.
Yes. And just the general, like, being annoyed between Worf and Deanna both getting frustrated because she keeps butting her head into Alexander. Where it fell apart, though, where it stopped being entertaining to me, is when they went to the holodeck. And we had to sit through like these. It was like a juggler, and like it was like a really crappy version of the characters from the Seventh Seal or something like that.
Oh, tedium incarnate.
Yeah, I was not into this.
Yes, let's go and have a mud bath. I've had a mud bath. They're not great.
You could describe this plot as a deranged older woman kidnaps child, gets naked with them, and into a mud bath, and then later in the episode gets naked in front of him again. But this time I'm thinking, you know what, he's not even reacting that strongly because he already saw her get naked when they were getting the mud bath, so for him this is old news.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, actually, that made me the other funny line in the episode. Deanna yelling at her mother when she mentions she's going to have a wedding gown. It says, "You're telling me you're not going to be naked at your own wedding?" That was a funny line.
I mean,
that was a funny line.
Amusing enough. Yeah.
It was a funny line. Obviously, the message of the episode, which is that Luxwana is trying to explain to Alexander, no, you're a child, you should be free, you should enjoy your life, all these things, which is going against what Worf is trying to teach him. But then her new husband shows up, who she's not met in person yet, an actor who I recognise from a few things. I think the main thing I know him from is he is from Twins, the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito movie, and he's also in a handful of early episodes of Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman. He's like Lex Luthor's crony. So he's done a lot of voice work. If you look at his IMDb, he's got tons of like cartoons and stuff. He's
definitely someone I know.
Yeah,
but you couldn't stick him in anything in particular.
But he's got a good voice, so you can see why he's done a lot of animated stuff. Yeah. But so he's and the twist here, if you want to call it that, is that he's actually the stickler for the rules, and he's got like an entourage, and this guy's like constantly
protocol agent.
Yeah, that was the phrase that was used. Yeah,
I don't know. Agent protocol was definitely.
Yeah, and he's like constantly saying, "No, you shouldn't do that. It's not proper to do this. You should do it this way. There's a schedule and a protocol and a system for everything, and you should adhere to the rules. To dot the I's, cross the T's. Everything has to be ship shape. All that." And it does, like, I appreciated. There's a scene where they kind of have this weird, like, there's like a 5-way argument where Worf's arguing with Alexander, who's arguing with Troy, who's arguing with her mother, who's arguing with the husband, and it's all like sort of crisscrossing in one room. Like, it's not like flawless execution, but I at least appreciated this idea of, like, this is the web that's being created because Lwaxana's got her mitts in so many things at one time.
Sure.
Right? And some of it's, well, like, I'll give them credit. They try to do a nice little scene with her where she's talking to Alexander and he asks why you're getting married. And she basically says, well, I'm not as young as I used to be, so I don't have as much choice anymore, and I'm lonely. Is it, like, it could have been better as a scene, but I at least appreciate the intent of the scene, and it was meant to be like a real sort of raw moment for the character to, open up and be honest with, because she keeps telling Alexander to be honest with her, and he does at a couple of points. He says, I miss my mom, and I hate my dad, and yada yada. But compromise is important, but not too much compromise, which is why the episode ends with Worf and Deanna taking a mud bath with them, which, whatever. That didn't do much for me. I mean, Worf's last line was kind of funny. It was amusing. You're just supposed to sit here. He just doesn't get it. Which,
he doesn't, and I fully empathize. I've been there.
I've never had a mud bath myself, so I don't.
I have. I wish I could say I hadn't, because.
Well, it's supposed to do good stuff for your skin, right? It's not really necessarily about feeling good.
That's yeah, but I mean, I don't give a shit about my skin.
Clearly,
it's skin. Who cares?
There is, like, I think one of your old relatives said one of the holodeck crew. There's this big ginger dude, but he's really orange and has big ginger beard and hair. I was like, that was one of Connor's old uncles or something.
Yeah. That's your first thought when watching this, is it?
Well, his introduction is he walks out and goes, hold! And I'm like, what's up? What's going on?
I don't quite get, like, Alexander starts repeating a couple of his lines later. I'm like, what is the point of this?
What I didn't get is that they go back for another session in this program later on in the episode, and it's like time has advanced for the holodeck characters because one of them's upset about something, and I was like, I mean, they've probably done this before in previous episodes, but it really stuck out to me here. I'm like, why is this advanced? Why is there an ongoing plot that is developed with these characters since you've been gone and came back again? I don't understand, but...
No, I don't either.
Like, it's not the worst episode of the show. There's definitely been worse, but...
There's been worse episodes of the show. This is down there for this season, though.
Oh, for sure. This is definitely one of the worst of the season. And, when we get to, top 5 best and worst 3, I'm sure this might be in contention. But... Yeah,
obviously it's too early to say for sure it's the worst. And also, there might have been worse already, because I'd have to,
Yeah, it's been a while. But, like, I mean, we could have 3 stinkers in a row after this, which...
Exactly, it's possible. But I'm willing to say right now, it'll be in the conversation.
Yes, I think that's fair. Yeah, honestly, like, the holodeck stuff I did not like, but I at least got some humor out of some of the interactions. Because I'll give them this: they understand exactly how we think of Mama Troy, right? They understand who she is, and the reactions of Picard, and Deanna. I don't know if I'd say the first one, but certainly
no, the first one. It's to give it a more recent comparison. It's like the Venom movies. First one was this weird accidental thing that just happened.
Okay.
And then they realized, oh, that's what the audience liked about it.
I mean, I disagree with this.
Despite its faults.
I disagree with this comparison because I don't think that first Venom is good in the way that other people do, but...
Your opinion is not relevant here, nor is mine.
My opinion is always relevant.
The point is, the studio saw what the audience reaction was en masse, overall, and went, okay, that's what we want to lean into.
They liked how shit this was. Go make it shit again.
Do that again, but worse. Do it on purpose this time. That's essentially what they've done with Lwaxana Troy.
Yeah. But they understand it in a way where it's not, because what you just said there sounds very dangerous. There's a reason why nothing Tommy Wiseau has done since The Room has been remotely entertaining, because once he knew what the appeal was, it didn't work.
Yes.
It had to be earnest. It had to be him thinking he was making cinematic gold for it to be funny.
I think the start of that is, this was never that bad to begin with.
Oh, sure.
It was never at that level. So to go, do that on purpose is still possible.
Yes, I think that's fair. So Yeah. And we also had the fireman from Twin Peaks was back again as the henchman for a scene or
Mr.
two.
Hom.
Yeah.
He's there.
He's there. He doesn't have a line. There's a nice little shot where Alexander meets him and looks up, and it's this like low angle shot looking up, and he just kind of like raises his eyebrow.
He's got all, like the pins in his mouth.
Yeah, because they're in the wedding gown.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, the big ending to it, of course, which we kind of alluded to, but Lwaxana learns from Alexander that she shouldn't compromise this much, and this man is clearly not for her. That he won't go to mud baths with her. He won't be a free spirit. So she shows up to the wedding in traditional garb for her people, which is no garb at all. They're supposed to go up naked, and we get a series of reaction shots from everyone in attendance. Some are more awkward or embarrassed than others. Alexander just smiles at her like, he's going, like, okay.
Yeah. Weird.
A bit on the weird side, but all right. Yes, and he storms out because this is what was the word he used?
Improper.
No, it wasn't improper. Infamous. It was infamous because it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Because he goes, "This is infamous, infamous." Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, looks like Troy and her infamous tits. So there you go. That's the end of the
title for your episode, if ever there was one. Also, Troy should stop being an interfering pseudo parent.
What Troy?
Deanna.
Okay, fair enough.
This is a fair question. I think all episode we've referred to it as Troy and Lwaxana. So
I mean, it's not just that though. It's that they're both interfering as parents in this episode.
They are,
as well.
But also, I feel like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Worf's a perfect parent, but pick up your clothes and put them in the wash, essentially, was the chore he was trying to get Alexander to do on a consistent basis. I don't feel like Troy had to say, "Oh, we should compromise on this one." Like, I feel like that's perfectly fine as a parent to establish as a ground rule, as like just a baseline thing to do. Like, take Worf's side on this one, maybe. I don't think, like, maybe there are other things that Worf has done that are a bit out of line, that are a bit maybe too strict. I'm willing to believe that.
And to be fair,
this is one of them.
Michael Dorn, I think, does have a nice little delivery here at the start when she brings up the idea of having a contract where they both say things the other person does that is getting on their nerves, and Alexander says, the first thing he says is, "Oh, he yells a lot," and Worf turns around and goes, I don't yell." Like, and it was good delivery. It was funny because of his like it's such an obvious joke. Like, you've seen it done before, but like Michael Dorn's delivery is what made it funny.
That's very good, yeah.
So, and he's always good, but like I think it is entertaining watching him play off of these more frivolous characters, and there is, I think there's some happiness. That's a bit of a flowery way of putting it. There's some enjoyment to be had from some of those elements.
Happiness to be created by watching said elements.
But definitely, like, as much as I'm defending some of the humor and I appreciated some of it, all the stuff on the holodeck was just kind of painful to get through, and it is a bit messy. But the big thing for me this episode was just how inconsequential and tacked on the B plot was, and just how much of a nothing thing it is, and didn't have any effect or bearing on the main plot whatsoever. So
no, there's just no crossover, and that could be forgiven if it was at least good or interesting.
Sure, yeah. If the A plot was great and the B plot was still fun, but they were just separate, you'd sort of, well, it's a bit disjointed, but they're both good, so
yeah. But it hasn't even got that going for it.
No, it does not. So Wesley Crusher had a better episode last week. That's shocking me, I know, but here we are.
I mean, that is it, though, isn't it? Do you want a Wesley episode or do you want a Mama Troy episode?
On a meta level, I wonder, is this the first time? Because I mean, unless I'm misremembering this, but I believe the actress here who plays Lwaxana, that's Roddenberry's wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the first time she's guested since his passing on the show?
It might be, actually.
It might be. So I'm just wondering if some of the themes of like feeling lonely, and I mean it's been part of her character the whole time. Don't get me wrong, but I wonder if that's why we got a more emotional scene where she kind of like opens up about it, as it was meant to be a little bit of her talking about.
It could be. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching there, but
yeah. I could see it though.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so what's coming up next week? More wedding stuff, apparently, because the next episode is called The Perfect Mate. Here's the description on IMDb. Ferengi machinations. I love these words together. Ferengi machinations. I don't get to say machinations enough. It doesn't pop up enough. Ferengi machinations unleash a diplomatic gift aboard the Enterprise. That entire sentence is wonderful. Unleash a diplomatic gift.
It's diplomatic gift shop unleashed. That's what makes the sentence.
Well, yeah, because it's like, well, see, it's a gift, but that sounds like it's more of like a threatening thing, which I'm sure it is because it's the Ferengi. So yes, Ferengi machinations unleash a diplomatic gift aboard the Enterprise. The rare, empathic, perfect man, ready to bond with any male. Oh, sorry, mate, not male, not man, mate. The rest of that sentence didn't make any sense because I said the wrong word.
I mean, it would have made sense if there was more afterwards.
Sure, but yes, the rare, empathic, perfect mate, ready to bond with any male around her. I think it's because the word male was popping up later, and I mixed male and mate around. But anyway, okay.
So the entire male crew competing for this perfect mate, I assume, is the episode.
Yeah. And we have a relatively notable guest star. I don't know how notable it was at the time, but she's known for other things since then.
Go on.
I'm probably butchering her name here because I don't know how to say it, but Femke Jensen?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Aye. But mainly known for X-Men movies, but she's done lots of other things.
Been in quite a few bits, over the years.
Yeah, so this is what the next week is. So yeah, we'll see how that is. It's got a higher rating than this episode, if that's any consolation.
I mean, I should bloody hope so.
Yeah, this week's episode, for the record, was a 6.2, which I'm fairly certain might be the lowest of the season. I mean, I'm just going to have a quick skim to see if that's correct.
That tells me that IMDb raters are far too generous. Because that should not be dragged up to a 6.2.
You get a lot of Star Trek fans, you know. Oh, we did have a 6.3 at once, but I've not got lower than a 6.2 yet. Yep. It is the lowest one so far.
Wait, so far? Is there one worse coming up?
There might be one that's a little lower coming up.
It's like, how low? Scare me.
6.0. It's not that bad.
Okay.
I won't tell you when it's coming though. I'll
just drop it on the episode before.
If it's any consolation, it looks like the run of episodes after are pretty good.
So it's not the last episode?
No. Let's just say we're in 8s and even 9 afterwards. So you got treats to get afterwards.
All right. I just got to suffer through one more terrible one, presumably.
But there you go, that has been Star Trek The Next Generation. Thank you very much for joining us. Turns out Connor still can't work for a few weeks, so don't get me wrong, we're going to keep trying to make them weekly as possible whilst he is back at work, but you're guaranteed at least a few weeks of weekly episodes.
Assuming that you don't fall asleep every night again.
Every night's a bit of a stretch.
I don't know, last couple of weeks would suggest.
I wasn't falling asleep. Some nights I was just busy. Is this so alien to consider?
One, I would say no, but also, you really tell me you don't sleep every night? That's so weird.
You know what I meant. It's just... Oh my goodness. Jettison Connor out of an airlock. This has been already cancelled. Thank you for joining us for the Star Trek The Next Generation discussion. We will see you next time for the next episode. You can, of course, support us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your troubles. At the $5 tier, you get the episode reviews about a week early, 6 days usually. So go and have a look and see if you're interested. And of course, you can support us by liking, subscribing, dinging the bell for notifications, all that usual stuff on YouTube. All of it does help. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek. And somewhere out there, Wesley Crusher is learning from mistakes that he made when it turned out he wasn't in complete control.